Okay, good morning, guys. This is just a little follow up today after showing you how to use this system that Rab created. And again, this is all free indicators. Watch the video before if you have any questions on how to do this. Let me show you here on Discord. I'll show you where it's at. So right here in Buy for Sale Signals, you can watch this right here, Rabbit's Leverage Trading Strategy Explained, free indicators. So it uses all free indicators. If you haven't watched it yet, watch that first, and then go over here, look at Bitcoin first. That's what you want to do every morning. If this is too cluttered, first thing you want to do is probably take off, you could take off all the Phoenix ones first, hide them. And really what you're looking for, you want to see what the direction, the direction of Bitcoin, first on the weekly, then the daily. He typically just looks at the daily first. But here's what we're looking at. You can even take all these off if you want, but you need to turn them back on. But clearly we're in a downtrend, and there's a bear flag, downtrend. We're getting into a support area. So if we turn everything back on, we don't have a buy signal yet on the weekly. Notice we got one over here, but this is a strong support area right here around 59K. We have wicked to it once. Maybe we're going to come down and actually create a candle body down to it, and that'll be our base. I mean, there is an outside shot. We get down to like 51K or something where it sweeps this liquidity. But I really feel like that's probably going to be the bottom. But that's not really what this is intended to do. This system is designed for you to jump on it every morning or whenever you're ready to start trading for the day. And you're usually going to be leverage trading with something like this, but you can use it for positional trading as well, for longer term trading. So you're probably going to be a day trader or a swing trader in this case. Rab is more of a swing trader. And what that means is he will set alerts. And when the price comes into his territory where he wants to buy, whether it's a long or a short, he's going to buy at that point. And he's usually going to hold for at least 3 days. Sometimes it's less, but a lot of times it's going to be longer than that. All right, so if we bring the Bollinger Bands back in, we can see that we're getting near the bottom of the weekly and the daily Bollinger Band, which lines up perfectly with this support level. Here's the top way up here where we were. Here's the intermediate top right here on the daily Bollinger Band. So this is the weekly, this is the daily. So at minimum, you're going to see a bounce back up to here somewhere at some point, and then we'll see what it's going to look like at that point. But you can see back over here, it always happens, right? You get a huge discount, people start buying, it pushes it way up, and now it's overvalued, and now you're paying a premium, and then people sell off. It just goes up, down, right? So if we bring Phoenix back on here, and then we're going to switch over to the daily. So now what we're looking at on the daily, our trend is still down even on the daily, although we're kind of going sideways now. Maybe it's going to do some kind of M structure here, or maybe it creates a higher low and starts to push up. And these are the levels you want to watch for on your Phoenix. So you've got this little, what is this, the 21 day on the daily chart. You got your 21 day and you got your 51 day right there, moving averages, and they're exponential moving averages. So you're expecting price to come up to here at some point. And this is a moving target, but at some point it's going to hit about 73K, and you'll see how it reacts. If it continues to push up there, then it's moving up here to 80K. These can be short areas where you would take a short, so maybe you set an alert right here. And, price crossing a certain level. And then once that kicks off for you, then you'll say, okay, I'm going to look at this. Maybe I'll go down to the 4 hour and just see how it's reacting at this level. But you always want to start at the higher time frame first and get your directionals, get an idea of where your resistance areas are on the higher time frame, and then you go down to the 4 hour. But the very top of this range, if it was to push up this high, is currently sitting about 88K. So if things started pushing up all of a sudden, that's about the area that you would expect it to resist from. But you got these little red boxes here. Those are your major resistance. This is your major support. So now you kind of understand what the BTC levels are. Now you go over here and you start going down your list, and you'll start looking at your list, and okay, now you know how to use these charts, and you know that these multiple green dots right here are very strong support. So with this token called FHE, you could put you an alert somewhere in here. Sometimes it's going to front run it. And when I mean front run, sometimes it doesn't touch the support line. Sometimes it just comes down and almost touches it, and then it reverses. But this to me looks like it's putting in an engulfing candle on this bullish candle right here that failed. I mean, if this was in green and red, you'd see this be a green. This white one would be green. This orange one would be red. But you're seeing this fail here. So at least it's coming down to here. It could come down to this other green line down here. I'll turn off these Bollinger Bands so you can see it better. So, all these red dots are resistance. All these green dots are support. The green numbers down here with the tags, that's a buy signal. This is usually a sell signal. The buy signals are on the bottom, sell signals are on the top of the candle, but it ended up pumping after this. So you can't always trust that. Sometimes these 13 count right here are good places to take a short. Is this the daily? Yeah. So, especially when it lost this level, which became resistance way back here. Actually, I think it set it up. It started doing this red dots either here. Well, no, it must have been over here. Yeah, this must have been the resistance when it started hitting this support level. So this was support at one point when it was still above it, but then it failed and fell below it, and it came down under these EMAs showing you weakness. So you knew it was getting weak. And then once you saw this big engulfing candle right here, so you got a full candle body that engulfed this candle body before, and it fell back below the EMAs, and that was bearish. So what it hasn't done yet is this. And I'm just showing you how to analyze these. This thing's going to continue to curl down here. What you haven't seen yet is this to bounce and to hit this line right there. And this is a perfect time to take a short usually. So let this play out. You can set an alert somewhere in here where you think this red line, or sorry, forgot I had that there. Just imagine what this is going to look like if it continues to curl down. So set an alert somewhere in there. Set an alert down here for a long. I'm just giving you some ideas here on what to look for. Currently, Rab on Piverse here, he has an alert set right here. So this kind of gives you an idea what he's looking at. Actually, I think this is the one that already triggered for him. So he already had one. What he saw was something like this, where he saw this curling down. And so he was like, okay, if this bounces and comes back up here to these lines, I'm going to take a short. And ended up being a really good short. So it's below this support line, which means now these green dots are resistance. See how it keeps hitting up against, it's like hitting its head against this support if you were to draw it all the way across. Like if I took a line across here, now that's resistance because it fell below it. If it gets back above it, then that's support, and that's a good place to take a long. But until that happens, this would be your support way down here. So you could set an alert right here. If it comes down, you buy. All you're trying to do is you're being patient. You're waiting for price to come to you. You're taking a 20x long on leverage, maybe a 10x if you want to stay safe. You're keeping your entry low. Don't do more than like $20 to $50 per trade. Even $50 is kind of high, but this helps you sleep at night where you don't have to watch your trade. So paper trade at first if you want, but this is how you grow your account. You stick to these rules. You keep your entry level small. And then when you say if it comes down here and it bounces and you take a long right here, and then as it comes back up here to this new resistance level, you sell. And if that was to happen, if that was to play out, you just need to be thinking ahead. Then you'd make about 30% on your money, which we know. If you've got a 30% move times 20x leverage, that's going to equal 600%. Is that right? 300, yeah, okay. So 600%. So if you put in $20, and I always get this wrong. I don't know if this is right or not, but let's just say this is a 6x, 600% to 6x, then you made $120. So now you're growing your account, you're playing it safe. That's the way to do it. You're gonna have some losses sometimes, but in the long run, if you stick to the rules, you're gonna make money. Yeah, so just go through your list here every morning. It's very simple. Another thing to watch for is if this thing, like this one here, X and Y, If it gets above like it has here, then you would wait for it to pull down to either this green line or this red line. So you would buy some here, you would buy some there. I mean, there's a chance that it could come all the way back down here to the support, but so far, this one's starting to gain some momentum. You know, this is probably overheated. It needs to pull back some, but this is a very good example of how you would use your moving averages right here, this green and red line, the 21 and the 51. So once they cross above it, you know, back here, they were resistance. So you use them for resistance and support. They're just like horizontal support and resistance lines. So as things are bearish, anytime it has a big drop, you know, volatility is what we want. We want to see some kind of really big drop or some kind of really big pump. That's all we're looking for. So if it comes up here and it touches the green line, you take a short, just touch the red line, you take another short. And then when it comes down here and maybe gives you a buy signal like this, maybe you take some profits. And then when it does it again, when it pushes up and it rejects again at the red line, you take another short. Then you get a buy signal down here, you take your profit, and you just rinse, repeat. And then when things finally turn around for it, you know, this was kind of a warning that it was about to turn around and it was time to start going long on it instead. You got a cross up on your 2151 right there. Now you know it's bullish because you're getting higher highs, higher lows, and you're above your 2151 EMA. You know, it's creating, so this was a lower high right here from this one. So here's a high, here's a lower high. Now you're getting a higher high, and you're just waiting on that next higher low to show up. So here's your current higher low from this one. Now you're just waiting to see where your next one's going to be. And it could be somewhere in here, you know, as this, you know, the red line and the green line start to curl up right there. And then you can always open up your Bollinger Bands here and see what's happening. Your daily Bollinger Band, the purple line right here, way overheated. You know, you can expect usually these things to pull back to the midline, to the median. So if you just look at the Bollinger Band here, which is the purple line, then you can see that it's clearly, you know, way up here in the higher range. Your midline is somewhere right here, right? So when you bring your Phoenix back on here and look at the 2151, the 51's about the midline of this, right? If you're looking at this being the top line, this being the low, the 51's about the midline. Now it could stop here at the green line if it's very bullish. So you would take a long here with a small amount of money, and then you would take another long here. And your hope, you know, what you're hoping for is that this comes down and then just starts building more and more momentum and keeps going up. And then, you know, maybe you make like a 30% move, 60% move, could even make a 100% move. And 100% on a 10x is, on a 10x leverage, sorry. 100% on a 10x leverage is 10x. I think that's right, yeah. Or 100% move on 20x is, am I even saying that right? 100% move. Wait, that's 100x, isn't it? 10x times 10x. Anyway, you make a lot of money. That's the point. I think I'm getting that right. But anyway, yeah, this is how you use it. But you have to go through. I mean, look at all the opportunities you have. I just want to keep driving this home because there's a trade every day. There's multiple trades every day. Now, I would say this, don't get in over your head and have like, you know, 20 trades open. You could do 5 to 10. I mean, 10 may even be too much. Maybe just do 5 at a time. And then what you want to do is make sure that you're setting alerts for where to sell. So if we bought this one, I'm just using this as an example. I'm not actually saying this is a good place to buy. But let's say if we bought this one, there are 2 buy signals here, and it is down here near the, what happened to my other BB? I think I accidentally deleted it. There we go. Okay, let me go back to Hemi here. Okay. I messed something up there. Anyway, you got buy signals here. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Here's one that didn't work. This 13 count did, although it took it a little while. This one actually did up here, but it was bearish, so it only worked temporarily. So these are very strong. I mean, maybe this is your support that's developing here, but you need to start seeing these lines curl up. You are down here near the daily Bollinger Band low. You know, it's overextended to the downside. So could it come up to this green line? Yeah. I mean, maybe that's all you get. Maybe it just comes up here and fails again, because every time it has hit this green line, it has failed. But that's the 21 EMA on the daily. This is the 51 way up here. So there's a chance it could push all the way up here. So you could go ahead and take a long here. It's a little bit risky. I mean, it could still come down one more time, but you know, you could take profits here. And if you were going to take profits here after buying right now, you would hit add alert, hit create. And as soon as it crossed this, it would tell you and you would sell. Just remember, sometimes these things will front run. So what I mean by that is sometimes it doesn't go all the way to the line. Sometimes price will do this and just barely almost hit it and then come back down. And it'll work the same way on a short. You know, if it was coming down from here down to this line, it won't quite touch it. It'll start going up. So just make sure that you set your alert just a little bit before that line, whether it's a long or a short. Okay, I think that covers everything. Let me know if you got any questions. I just want to keep doing this for you, showing, you know, your daily, you know, how you would do this. I'm probably going to look into taking, you know, X and Y. I don't think I would take a short just yet, because it's already made the move kind of, and it's sitting right on support right here on this orange line, which is the 4 hour 51 EMA. I would prefer for it to come up a little bit first, and then I might take a short and hope that it comes down to here. That would be a pretty good play, but it's already made most of the move, so I don't want to, you know, chance it. One thing Rab will tell you is he wants to see volatility like this. You know, he wants to see a big move, whether it's up or down, before he makes a play. But if you're going to play these, don't play them in the middle right here, unless, this is the only time I would do it, unless it comes down and touches the middle and uses it as support, or it comes back up from the bottom and uses that as resistance for a short. So here's a long idea, here's a short idea. That's okay to play it in the middle in that case, after it's become volatile like this. But if things are just going sideways, let me see if I can find you one. Yeah, like this right here. If things are just kind of going sideways, nothing's happening, I wouldn't mess with it. You want to find something like this that had a big drop, and then it's way down here at support. Right here would have been a great place to buy. Of course, it kept falling for a while, but you know, once it came back above it and established support, even right here was an excellent place to buy. Look at that. You got 3 buy signals right there. So if you get a huge dump like this, just wait for a buy signal maybe. You know, keep back testing these things. You're going to see it. You're going to start seeing it more and more. But what would have happened here if you would have bought here? So you had a lot of volatility. You were patient. You waited for it to come back up here at least above this support line. And once it closed a full candle above it, it even came back and gave you one more retest opportunity. So I wouldn't have bought this. I would have waited for it to dip one more time back into support. Look how it front ran it. It didn't actually touch the green dots here. But if you had bought anywhere in here and maybe sold at the top of the Bollinger Band right there, you would have made about 30% times, you know, whatever your leverage multiplier was. Even if you sold right there at the midline at the 51 EMA right there, which is your strong resistance usually. Like, see, it's still under it currently. It keeps wicking against that 51 EMA. Even if you would have sold there, you would have made like 15% times your multiplier for your leverage. So, you know, 50% times 10. If you did a 10x, you'd have made 150%. Or if you did 20x, you would have made 300%. So it really adds up. But if you stick to the rules, you're going to be fine. Okay, hopefully this is helpful. Let me know. I'm going to try to keep doing these for you. And we'll just see how it works out for everybody. Hopefully everybody starts really buying into it. You know, everybody that wants to do it. Okay, take care.